So joining me now is Nick Matsey, a former London Tory party candidate who has left the party, or as he might say, the party has left him. Is that how you feel, Nick?
That's exactly how I'd feel, actually. Since I started campaigning very heavily for the Conservatives in 2014 and 15 for the general election, the party felt very much one about social mobility, enabling people to bring about change. That's why David Cameron had such a great result in that election. Things have very much changed post-Brexit, the referendum, and the party now has become much more ideological, and the roots of pro-business, of pro-technology, pro-opportunity seems to have gone, and we now have people like Marc Francois saying things like calling the chief exec of Airbus a Teutonic bully. That's ideological language and probably going to cause people to lose their jobs. That's not what I would campaign for.
And is at the centre of this then really, is Brexit a big issue? Because of course that is something that perhaps sets London apart from the rest of the country, isn't it?
Brexit is absolutely a big issue. And if anything, it was the catalyst for change. It's one of those things that allowed people to actually come out a bit more about their honest politics, what I think perhaps sometimes what they really felt. And they were enabled by some quite ugly campaigns that we saw, some ugly posters, a lot of mistruths, things as I call lies and fraud. And I think there is a huge amount of evidence for lies and fraud by the Leave campaign. And it enabled people to say and do things that they wouldn't otherwise normally do. And those people that were before in the franchises of UKIP or the BNP have now come, as Matthew Parris said at the Times,
into the Conservative Party?
Yes, because they have nowhere else to turn.
That's a bold claim. Where do you go now? As a Conservative with a small c, but sort of self-confessed social liberal, where do you go now?
At the moment, my intent is to run as an independent. And I hope there will be an army of independents that will join me across the nation and to stand up for the principles which they believe in, because at the moment there isn't really a party there. What I've discovered is also there's a huge number of Labour voters who feel the same. And the message coming through very strongly from people is that they've stayed in the Conservatives because they think Corbyn is the worst of, the possible option. And there are people who stayed in Labour because they think the Conservatives are the worst possible option. But neither of them particularly that keen about the leadership or the membership in which they are now with.
So, Stephen, is this a worry to you that you're losing young activists like Nick, progressives, appealing to the electorate in London? You're losing these people. They just don't feel at home in the Conservative Party anymore.
No, it is a worry. Of course it's a worry. I would hope that Nick will be able to say next year that he'll be wanting to stand as a Conservative in 2021 or 22, whenever the general election is. And my party needs to remember that you win elections from the centre and the common ground, being in touch with people's aspirations, being in touch with their concerns. And becoming too ideological, particularly about one thing that actually divides us.
Would you say the leadership of your party is too ideological at the moment on Brexit?
No, I wouldn't say it's the leadership at all. I would say there are elements in my party, which Nick has identified, which are causing us to have an image which I think we need to consider very carefully. As I say, we know that we won elections because we came and got on the common ground with other people, with the people's and the voters' aspirations, not only in London but across the country.
And Rushanara, I mean, why aren't you capitalising on this and absolutely smashing the Conservatives?
I tried recruiting Nick to the
to
the Labour Party earlier on before we joined the studio. But I think that both parties do. Nick's right that both parties have their challenges in trying to reach out to those who feel that we're not speaking for them, and we have our own issues.